Hello Smart Movers and welcome to Smart Move Insider, a place where we talk about fitness from within. My name is Sergio, again with our head coach Bart, and we're talking today about why to choose CrossFit instead of a regular gym. I expect to find out what is the difference between what we do in our gyms versus a regular one, what is our secret natural support system to keep members engaged, how do you keep people motivated, is CrossFit dangerous, and many more. Let's start with your story. I know that you have been doing sports all your life. You were a pretty active child and you did bodybuilding, motivated by the Arnold era. So, how did you switch to CrossFit?
Like you said, I did sports my entire life. I did judo. Also, in the judo days, which was before I was 16, I was lifting some weights because my father had like a basic bench in the garage and a pull-up bar and some dumbbells and a barbell. So I was lifting weights. When the focus went more towards football, I stopped lifting weights only maybe in the off season. When there was no football, like the 2 months in the summer holiday, I would lift weights. Because I was basically training football every day, and on Friday I was playing indoor football, and on Saturday I was playing the youth team, and then on the Sunday I was playing my father's team, so there was not too much time for extra shit. After I think early 20s, wasn't doing judo anymore, wasn't doing football in the way anymore, like train every day. It was more like only the Sunday league, with the friends. So I started lifting weights at home, like you said, based on a book at first, from actually Franco Columbo. I don't know if you ever heard that name.
He's an Olympian.
Yeah, so he was a good friend of Arnold. So in the book, it's all photos of Arnold and Franco, and basically explaining the basics of bodybuilding in that book. So at home I had a bench, I had a squat rack, I had dumbbells, I had a barbell, I had a pull-up bar. So with the material I had in that book, I just started training like 3-4 times a week, just messing around because I didn't know any better. It's like working out basically or gaining muscle. The only thing you were thinking about back then is, okay, bodybuilding, right?
Were you seeing results?
Yeah, I saw results to a certain point because I wasn't really taking any consideration of the food. I was just lifting weights 3-4 times a week. I was getting stronger, but now I showed you that map with articles that I gathered and also from my book, because I was also gathering articles like from the magazines that were in the bookshop, like a Muscle and Fitness and a Men's Health, and I was pulling out the training schedules and the exercises I didn't know because they had photos, because thinking now this is around 2000 and I didn't have yet at home internet.
There wasn't too much internet at home back then.
No, so if I wanted info, it needed to come out of a book or out of a magazine. So I think YouTube only started around 2005, 2006. So that were the 5-6 years before YouTube. Now, if I would want to know how an exercise is done, I will just type it into YouTube and I will see it. So the only way to gather info back then was or to go see a trainer, or go to the library, get a book, or get a magazine, or buy a book from a bookshop that would teach you. So you kind of needed to self-educate.
So the people who's listening, Bart brought with him a binder, like a dossier, with like 1,000 plastic files, which has like articles from back the 90s and the 2000s. Like we were gathering posters, like the Bravo magazine. So this is what Bart has, and he's referring on that. He's very meticulous, as I know he is. So basically he made his own manual to learn how to lift weights. He didn't do them just by ear because, as he said, he couldn't find them online back then.
No, now it's much easier. I think it's now much easier to be your own coach if you're willing to self-educate. So back then I wasn't I never had a membership to a gym. It was always training in the garage because my father had in the garage, and then afterwards I took the stuff to my place when I moved alone.
Was there a gym in your neighborhood?
Yeah, it was full of gyms, the old school gyms with the iron plates, and they were all over in the machines.
When was the first time you had a membership and you walked into one?
The first time I've been in commercial gyms in Belgium, but just like single sessions. But the first time I actually made a membership and started going month after month, day after day, week after week was when I moved to Romania. So I was working in the Julius Mall, so my first real gym membership was in World Class like 15 years ago. And that's where I started. And I continued the things that I gathered from before. I bought more books from Mike Metzner, another famous bodybuilder from back in the days that was focusing on super slow training, where you would do 3 seconds up, 3 seconds contraction, 3 seconds negative. I was messing around with supersets that I had out of a book of LL Cool J, which was the rapper which was popular in those days, and I was listening to, and he was famous for having a really nice physique. I don't know if you remember how LL Cool J used to look.
He still looks good.
He still looks good, but he's now in his 60s. But back then he was like in his 35 or 40 or something, and he looked really impressive. So I was also playing around with that, and that's what I took into the commercial gym, and I continued for a while. While I was in that commercial gym, I was always on the lookout every 3 to 6 months just to mix it up. And then it was the time when the movie 300 came out. Also impressive guys. I think the only thing people remember from that movie is how cool the guys looked with the abs and the big upper body. And there was a book called Spartan Warrior Workout, and that was written by the guy that trained those actors. So I bought the book because I was curious, and actually I checked it today because I completely forgot. Actually, that was my first CrossFit workout I ever did, because the book starts off with a benchmark. So for people that don't know benchmark is a workout that you will use as a test. You will do it for time. I will describe you in a second the exercises. That score you will note down. You will train for X amount of months, and then you will redo the workout so you can compare to see if you make any progress. So the workout is called the 300 workout, and it's 300 reps in total. It's for time, 25 dead hang pull-ups, 50 deadlifts, 50 push-ups, 50 box jumps, 50 floor wipers. A floor wiper is when you lie on your back, the barbell is pressed out, and you touch the plate, you go down like a leg raise, and then you touch the other plate, you go down. That's a floor wiper. 50 kettlebell dead clean and presses, 25 per side, and then finish again with 25 dead hang pull-ups. So that was, now that I look on it, it's kind of a CrossFit chipper.
Yeah, it's a chipper.
So this was my first exposure to CrossFit workout. And then the next 3 to 6 months, I followed the plan of the book, which was doing all kinds of dynamic exercises, preparing you to get better at this benchmark workout. And then I redid it. And it was a bit of a change of the bodybuilding I was doing before, because it was doing a lot of exercises or variations on exercises that I already knew, like on purpose doing partial push-ups from the bottom just till the 90 and back down, and partial push-ups from the 90 till up, and static contraction holds in the bottom, and a lot of bodyweight exercises, kettlebell exercises that I was new to because I was just doing bodybuilding style exercises, so no kettlebells. So I was doing kettlebell snatches, kettlebell clean and presses, kettlebell swings, and then the main lifts, deadlifts, strict press, bench press, squats, so just for general strength. And that was a bit the base of that programming, which was at that point a nice change up from, I was already getting a bit tired of the bodybuilding straight sets and supersets and slow reps and forced reps, and this was like a change. You had something to train for, you know. You wanted to get better at that 300 workout. I did it in 25 minutes, now I want to do it in 23 minutes because I want to do it faster and I want to build capacity to it. So that was my like first exposure to get away a bit from bodybuilding, because I was searching something else, because I was getting a little bit bored. That was all. Because every 3 months to switch exercise is okay, but bench press stays bench press, and then it's an incline in the next block, or it's a decline, or it's a combo, but bench press is bench press. And you do 10 reps, you rest. This was a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, that's where it started. Now getting away from and getting more in CrossFit style. I didn't know it was CrossFit style. It was only shortly after that I finished 3 to 6 months on that Warrior 300 program that a friend of Belgium told me about CrossFit. And then I started looking at CrossFit.com and I kind of could see like, it's like that chipper, but every day it's another chipper, which was interesting.
Yeah, I bet. I remember the old CrossFit Journal, how basic that site looked, how dodgy and old. Yeah, but they were really good workouts.
Yeah. I think they posted their first workout in 2001 on the CrossFit.com. So that thing has been around for almost 25 years, but it developed because CrossFit is around since 2000 or 2001, but it really got popular in 2009, 2010 with the first games. Let's say 2010, the first Reebok CrossFit games, that gave them a lot of exposure, and then more people started getting to that CrossFit.com site, seeing those animals and thinking, how do I get like that?
Exactly. For the new listeners, what is CrossFit? Let's remind people.
CrossFit is a strength and conditioning program. For our conditioning part, we use a combination of exercises taken from powerlifting, weightlifting, gymnastics, and a couple of elements that most people would call typical cardio, like rowing, running, maybe even swimming. And we throw them in a combination in some kind of a circuit training, and we use that for our cardio. Next to that cardio part, we practice skills or we practice separate strength. So training for strength, meaning I'm doing sets below 5 reps and I'm going heavy. So my goal is to get as strong as possible. Or I'm training skills, maybe I'm training some gymnastic skills like a toes to bar or a handstand or double unders. So these are the two things. On one side we're training strength and on the other side we're training cardio.
That's great. So you basically wanted to switch and you wanted something more interactive in your training routine. I remember also that training sometimes the same muscles and the same tempo, it's a bit boring. So CrossFit gives you a more complex and diverse palette of exercises to train for, and it's like a never-ending journey.
Yeah.
You all the time have something to get better at. Like you just said, you do the bench press, but how can you improve in bench press in technique, for example, because you start getting hang of it. But like, for example, doing the clean or doing an overhead squat or doing double unders, there's always something small that you can improve, that 1% that makes it better.
Yeah, still any of those exercises, when I look in video to myself, I can still cue myself to do it better. It's like a never-ending story.
Exactly. I have in my feed some exercises I did 5 years ago, and when I look at myself back then, I was like, wow, how could I move that way? Because now I'm thinking I'm moving better. It's like when you look at yourself and you have bad clothes or a bad haircut and you were walking around like that in that period, you know?
I have a map on my Facebook called CrossFit, and I went to a couple of the old videos and I'm seeing myself snatching 80 kilos, stripper snatching 80 kilos, and I'm like, how the hell did that weight go up with that technique? When we were in the barbish inside that room, I have a video from there. It's like it cringing.
Yeah, so
when I see it, I'm like, oh no, what the hell?
And you wouldn't say this, seeing you in the gym now, or you thinking about yourself, you wouldn't say that you passed through that phase, you know?
We all passed through that phase. I think all the trainers can find videos from the beginning that it like hurts your stomach to see yourself move like that. But it's also it's a progress, because back then you didn't necessarily consider it that bad, because you develop as a coach and your coach's eye gets better, and you didn't see the mistakes like you see them now. Now you see them instantly, what the problem is.
It was invisible.
Yeah, you thought, oh, pretty good. I actually thought that back then, were pretty good. I was happy with my 80 kilos, but if I look at it now, it's like it doesn't look good.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
So as far as I know, in CrossFit we do majority of the workouts in group, 14 people classes, or you can go even higher, depends on your space. What's the difference between group workout versus training alone?
I would say training alone in a commercial gym You basically you walk in there and you're renting the space. So everything else you are responsible for. So starting with your training program, you're in charge of knowing what you're gonna do in there. So you need to think a little bit in advance about this, and this is gonna take a little bit of time. You need to establish your goals, potentially look online for a site, or like I used to do, buy a book with a program in it from whoever you admire or follow, or maybe buy an existing training program from a fitness influencer that you like. There are many CrossFit programs, for example, also online, because there are also people training by themselves CrossFit. But let's say you're in a commercial gym and you're with machines and dumbbells, then it will be a bodybuilder, famous bodybuilder probably has a training program online. So, but anyway, you need to make sure that you have your training program with you, that you know in advance what to do, because too often people that are a member of a commercial gym, they walk inside and they don't know what to do, so they end up not doing too much. They run a bit on the treadmill, then they're thinking to themselves, should I do? I guess I should do a couple of sets of chest, so do a couple of sets of arms, but it's like all made up on the spot, and if you don't have a training program, things made up on the spot, there will not be a nice progression to it. You're not really building up to something. It's important to have a plan, to note down your results, to progressively overload from week to week, slight increases in reps or in weight, so you push your body towards results. So you'll be in charge of that. Next to having a training program, you'll also be in charge of being your own coach, meaning you put the phone down, you film yourself doing the reps, and you look at yourself and assess if you are doing it correctly, yes or no. It's easier said than done, because I just gave the example that 15 years ago I looked at my snatch and I thought it was perfectly fine. I look at it now and it's crap. Why? Because now I have the knowledge to assess myself. So if you want to come to that point where you can look at your own video and assess if it's good or bad, it will take a bit of effort from your side, because you're basically going to have to inform yourself for every exercise to know, well, where does each body part need to be during the exercise to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. If I'm doing a deadlift, where do my feet need to be? Where does my shoulder need to be in relation to my hip? How do I pull slack out of the bar? How do I brace before I lift the weight? Am I going correctly down? Am I pushing my hips back? Am I keeping the bar closed the entire time? These are things that you need to know, otherwise you will look at your video, you'll see nothing. So if you want to be safe by training by yourself, you're going to need to self-educate. So that's why you see in a commercial gym, every day you go in there, you see somebody doing some crazy shit. They don't do it on purpose, but they don't know how to correctly do it. So especially in this time, it surprises me, because everybody's very sensitive on doing it correctly. But still a lot of people doing crazy shit not correctly, but it's ignorance, because they don't realize they're doing it incorrectly and potentially will hurt themselves because they didn't take the extra step to look at the YouTube videos. It's so easy these days. Just put in YouTube deadlift tips or deadlift technique and just look at the video before you go into the commercial gym and do deadlifts. Yeah, I bet you have been in the commercial gym also and seen, like, especially as a coach, like I would help this guy and I would help this guy and I would help this guy because it's hurting my eyes.
I've been lately to the regular gym, and I was just surprised by one thing. Everybody was staying on their phones. I didn't see too much movement, to be honest. I saw some deadlifts, yeah. I saw some curls, I saw some pull-ups, and a lot of butt making, like the glute workouts. A lot of butts over there, but that's it. Unless you're in a functional part of the gym and you see some clean, some weightlifting, you just see many people standing on the machine and on the phone. That was very weird for me, because in the classes you don't see anybody on their phone. In that hour in the CrossFit class, you just come in, put in the work, you relieve yourself from your worries and your phone, you put it on the side, and you just are active for 1 hour.
But you don't have time, because you get guided constantly through the hour to keep on moving. There is no time to be on your phone.
And I bet you slide on social media for like more than the break should be. So for example, you should break, let's say 90 seconds or 2 minutes.
3 minutes later, 4 minutes, 10 minutes
10
later.
minutes later, you're still on.
Because you start texting with somebody, you're not training.
Yeah. There's a nice feature on Instagram. You can make a notification from the inside to let you know when you stay over 10 minutes. And we will tell you, want to take a break? It's 10 minutes. Want to take a break? And if you do that in between your sets, you know that you just finished your workout. You stayed for 10 minutes, that's a lot. You already done.
You should warm up again.
Warm up again, exactly.
Yeah, I think in half of the cases, I bet those people, they don't have a training plan. They're going in the other half they have, but they're just easily distracted. But I think in 50% of cases, they didn't go in with a clear plan. I'm going to do 4 sets of 8 to 10 bench press, then I'm going to do flies, then I'm going to do triceps after. They don't know in advance.
People like this are or with a trainer or with their own program, but there are so little people like you say. Like, I think you're the only person I know that so meticulously
that went inside with the program.
Yeah.
And I noted down every time this week I did 60 kilos, next week I'm going to try 62 and a half.
In my close circle, I don't know anybody.
So they all just go to the gym and we'll see what we'll do there when we get there.
You get there, you get the inspiration from the god of bodybuilding and you just do something.
I think, yeah. But for me, I wouldn't get anything done if I do that. But I see other people don't get anything done either. No, I come in and I know on Monday I'm going to do chest and triceps. On Tuesday I'm going to do back. I'm going to do legs. I'm going to do shoulders after. I mean, every day has a purpose.
So let's get back to the subject. So you need to know what you need to do.
Yeah, so you need to have your own plan.
And you need to be a self educator. So
because you need to check your form,
if you do correctly.
And then the last thing is also the motivation. You need to motivate yourself to get off your ass and get into that gym. You're only by yourself. There's nobody going to pull you in there. So you need to make sure that you just stick to your plan, because if you do not have consistency, you will not have results. So if you make a plan for 3 times a week, if you feel like or you don't feel like, you will be the only one speaking to yourself in the mirror and say, I need to go. There's nobody waiting for you there because you're just renting the space.
Yeah, and if the motivation is not there, have a discipline, just show up and do what's necessary.
We can't rely on motivation, we should rely on discipline, because I also have 50% of the days I don't feel like, but I have a purpose, so I go anyway.
There's a very deep question. How would you define motivation?
Motivation, honestly, for me, motivation... I think too much people rely. Motivation is feelings. Leave your feelings out of it. You have you have a goal. You set out your plan. How can I achieve that goal? If it is 2 times or 3 times or 4 times a week, no matter if you feel like or you don't feel like, it still needs to be done. Because what if most of the time you don't feel like? Then you're never going to get anything done. So I think people rely too much on their feelings when it comes to reaching their goals. You will see 90% of the time you will go in not feeling like once you pass the warm-up you'll be fine. 10% of the time, and I've also had it, I will force myself to go and I will walk back out. It has happened, but it's very rare. But it does happen that I say, I'm starting to lift and say, I have no energy. I thought I was gonna get into the vibe, but I have no energy. It's totally useless what I'm doing. Probably I'll just stick to stretching and not just walk out. I'll just stick to stretching, but just, you have to force yourself a little bit and just know that you have bad days and you have good days and that you won't always feel like, but you will feel better. The happy hormones will start working in your brain the moment you pass the warm-up.
That's a nice definition. So, group workout, it's a bit different.
Yeah, in CrossFit you have a coach. He will lead you through the entire hour. He will guide you at all times.
So basically the plan is there?
So yeah, the training plan is there. He already thought of a training plan for you. He made sure there is a different training plan ready for each day. You walk through the door. So he also thought probably like we do about a monthly focus. So he prepares a monthly focus and he adjusts the trainings to get you like stronger for the focus of that month. Maybe it's snatches, maybe it's doing more gymnastics that month. So he thought about the training program and he thought about it in a way that from day to day you should be able to come back. That if I hit legs more in one day that the other day it's a bit of another focus, so you can still come back and get your training in. And then the main thing of CrossFit is you will get some hands-on coaching. Yeah? So if in the commercial gym you are responsible for checking form and knowing how a move is supposed to look like and feel like, here in CrossFit he will teach you the exercises, he will advise you on weight choices during the strength trainings, he gives you some tips and tricks on the metcons to get faster times in the metcons, and he keeps an eye on you while you train. So while you're doing reps, he's looking at you, he's giving you cues to help you to move better, to get stronger, but mainly to keep you safe. So that's his main focus there. Safety above everything else. All the other things, he has it secondary, progress you, get you more efficient, but mainly keep you safe. So if you're in the commercial gym, you gonna keep you safe. So you're gonna be responsible for that. And then in the group classes, you also have that community feeling. So where I said on the when you train by yourself, you need to have discipline, you need to motivate yourself to get going. There is something about the community when the guy next to you, left and right, is doing the same effort and is doing the same metcon and knows what you're feeling, goes through the same thing. It creates a certain bond, creates a certain atmosphere. It also motivates you to work harder. I bet you even have done CrossFit by yourself. How is it to do a metcon in a group or to do a metcon by yourself?
It's not the same. You have no comparison factor. You're alone and you think you're going good, but then you check the score and you're like, wow, this was crap. Today was not my day. But when you're next to your friends and you know your level, you motivate yourself and challenge yourself to go a bit faster. You don't take that break that long. It's very, very different.
Yeah, I have it all the time because of time restriction. I'm then training by myself when I can, and then I have it when I'm completely by myself. It's like, it's a 5-round workout and I'm getting like red zoned in round 4 and said 4 rounds is enough for today.
And there's another factor that's very interesting. Having quote unquote extra eyes on you makes you work out harder. And we humans think that everybody's watching us. But the truth is nobody is focusing on you, maybe the coach, but the rest, they are not paying attention to you. But you having that in mind, that somebody might see you, you push harder. You try not to be the last, you will try to perform as best you can.
You know what I sometimes do when I'm coaching class and I see somebody take too much break, I just pick up my phone and point it at them and they think they're getting filmed, all of a sudden they start working.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you think you have eyes on you and you're like, fuck, I'm here sitting and resting and then, okay, it's time to work again. So being in that atmosphere, being in that group, thinking the guys on the side are looking at you, thinking you're getting filmed, the guy on the left is moving, you will move, you will automatically work more and harder than when you work by yourself. It's just a given. I think Glassman has a funny story about that where he like gives that as an example where he says, I was rowing in my garage by myself and all of a sudden my dog walked by and I started rowing faster. So like the same idea, if somebody looks at you, you will want to work harder.
Yeah, true. So community is at our core. This is the nice part of adhering to a community. It's a sense of belonging, and I call it the natural support system that keeps members motivated. So basically it's just what we talked earlier, that you will make connections, you will make some markers around you, some people the same fitness as you, and you will try to do better and better and better.
They will also keep you accountable. You get some people, because most people train on the same hour every day. So if you're in that 5 o'clock group, you will have some people that usually train in that class and they will start writing you online, you're training today? I don't really feel like, come on, you can just come in and go a little bit slower, but get training in. Like that little bit of push, sometimes it's enough for you to get the training in. And a training in at 70% is better than not getting a training in.
Exactly.
It's all about staying consistent. Not every training needs to be super hard, but show up regularly. Keep showing up regularly. No matter what the intensity of that day will be, it will be a plus on the increasing your fitness overall.
Yeah, and this is very different from a place where you go and put your headset on and just listen to music and run on the treadmill. Here is you need to talk to people. You need actually to speak to somebody and make connections, and this helps you in other areas of your life also. Good. So you were telling me a while ago that the number one reason why somebody is joining CrossFit is coaching. Can you tell me a bit more about the CrossFit level 1s and level 2s and level 3s in our gym and why that matters?
Well, the number one reason somebody should come to CrossFit is because they want to be coached, but the reality is probably they have a friend that cannot stop talking about it, and or they see that it's different and it's very varied. Every day is another training, and they may be a bit in a rut with their own training program. They want to try something different, but very soon they will realize when they do their first trainings that you get coached. So we have multiple level 1s, level 2s and level 3s in our gym. So meaning that CrossFit education works in 4 levels. The level 1 gives you a little bit of the basics of the most common used exercises in CrossFit, and the participants of the course get coached by much more experienced coaches, and they get coached till detail, much more detail than they maybe have ever felt being coached at. So to get their base good, and also some basics on why does CrossFit do the style of training the way they do it, and some nutrition, and so we cover a bit of all bases. The level 2 is more about getting better at coaching. So the participants for 2 days are coaching the group and getting feedback on their coaching and getting tips and tricks on how to be a more effective trainer. And the level 3 is it's a theoretical exam. Maybe you can explain because you did it recently.
Yeah,
how long has it been?
In November it will be 1 year on my first try.
You see how
on the second try,
how fast it already went?
Passes very fast, and I was
so you need to start looking into accumulating study points, because in 3 years you need to accumulate X amount of study points to maintain your level 3.
Exactly. So the level 3 would be the level 1 and level 2 combined. So having the knowledge how you teach people, and then a bit more about the organization of it all. So you need to know a few legal stuff. You need to have also the first aid paper in order, so you're a bit higher. But that test is a very, very hard test, and it
how much like questions was it?
160 or 150, and it's 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours to finish them.
Yeah, it's a pretty thorough test. So all these levels are physical except this one. This one is like in a computer center, but the level 1 and the level 2 are in-person experience, and is like the best experience you can, and you will be infected with the energy of those CrossFit level 3 seminar stuff.
But you also, it's not just learning, it's also a bit of the experience you gathered by coaching classes that then there you need to prove it, because it's not just studying black or white, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's based on all those years you've been practicing this. So you, for example, you had your level 2 and you need to practice at least for 6 months. They advise you to before you consider taking the level 3. So you have some videos that you need to try some faults or to put in your expertise on them. And if you don't have zero experience, it's pretty hard to have.
Yeah, you need to have real life experience in coaching to be able to pass that exam.
Exactly.
I would even say that 6 months is too little, unless you're coaching every day. That's maybe something else.
Yeah.
If you're having 3 hours or 2-3 hours every day for 6 months, it's something else. But if you don't have every day, you should probably prolong the period, gather some experience in coaching people. But going back to the subject, why I think it's important is because gathering the info, gathering the knowledge over time through the level 1, 2, 3 specialty courses, through maybe some self-study on the subject separate, like I study some gymnastics separate, I study more in depth the Olympic weightlifting via online channels or online courses, not necessarily from CrossFit, but because they are part of what we do and I go more in depth, my knowledge will increase and will make me a better coach. So I think it's important for people when you choose a gym that you keep that in consideration, how much are the coaches of that gym invested in their education and in getting better. Because like in any other job, no, this is a job like any other. It's a constant evolving. It's a constant search for fine-tuning what you think you already know. But the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. You know that saying, right?
Yes.
So the more in depth you go, the more you realize that there are more details to the matter. So we can keep on evolving. That's why 10 years ago I thought my snatch looked good, but when I look at it now, that video, not good at all. So those diplomas on the wall do matter. So when we're walking into a gym and you have your test class, it's things to look at. Are these guys paying attention to the technique? Am I getting coached? Am I getting cued? Are they giving me tips and tricks on how to approach the Metcon? Is there a clear explanation of what the stimulus of the day is? So these are all things to take in consideration. How does the program look like? Am I just getting beat up here with long workouts every day and harder is better? Or is there a feeling of the programming is thought out so I can come back from day to day without being destroyed every day? Do I get skilled individually, or am I just getting an explanation at the board and the rest is up to you? Or is this coach coming to me and saying, instead of the pull-ups today, why don't we do inverted rows, or why don't we do jumping pull-ups? Or if CrossFit is done well, you should feel like you get some individual attention in every class, no matter that you're with 14. Trust me, there is a difference between CrossFit gyms that do the extra step, have the diplomas on the wall, and those that think it's not necessary. Those that think it's not necessary, they will put the name CrossFit on their wall, but they will do their interpretation of what CrossFit's supposed to be and what the CrossFit method is like. Not necessarily out of bad will, but it's because they didn't go deep enough in pursuing level 1s, 2s, 3s, specialty courses, so they just don't know what they're doing wrong. They do something that looks like CrossFit, but without really following what CrossFit prescribes. They don't know the theory behind the method, and it's a problem. They do their own special version of what they think CrossFit had in mind of what CrossFit means. A lot of these type of gyms, they think if it was hard and the customer lies on the floor sweating and wondering what just happened, it must have been good. But this is not sustainable. And this is what, in my opinion, gives CrossFit at times a bad name, because this is how people get hurt. They don't put the emphasis on move well before you move heavyweight and move them fast, so people get injured. They let people do stuff they're not ready for. They're over-programming by giving them too much volume and going too hard every day, and eventually something is going to snap. And this is not what CrossFit was meant to be. CrossFit was meant to be do one Metcon a day, do every time something else, and do it in a way that your body can recover from day to day. So you will only know what you do not know by going to the courses. And I'm sure most gyms will start changing their approach if they educate themselves. It's not CrossFit's fault that you don't educate yourself and you make your own special version of Spartan CrossFit, where harder is better. The problem is also that the customer also thinks harder and more is better, but it's up to the coaches and the gym owners to make sure to educate them, like we do in podcasts like these, and then just to follow the method how it's intended to be. People need practice time to learn how to move better. So once they put weight in the Metcon, they can do it well under fatigue. If you never give them, if you overprogram and you put your hour too full and there's never time for 10 or 15 minutes of a bit of practice, how do we expect them to move well in the Metcon? And if in the Metcon, you're instead of a coach where you cue them to sit deeper, to push out their knees, to put their elbows up, to front rack every time they come down with the bar on a thruster, and you're only there to cheer them and to clap them and be a cheerleader, of course, they're not going to improve and they're not going to move well. They do what you allow them to do.
Yes, this system that CrossFit has is very on point in the meaning that your diploma is valid for 5 years. In order to go to the next level, you need to go in between those 5 years of its validity. And then the same for the level 3. And if you don't go for the level 2 when you're having level 1, your level expires and you're no longer a CrossFit coach. Of course, your knowledge is still there, but what they make sure through this is that you are continuously educating yourself or refreshing your memory. What you don't want your coach to be is he went in 2012 at the level 1 and then he's just on his own and with his experience. Nobody knows that they lack certain stuff until they're tested. So just do yourself a favor, try to reproduce some stuff that you know CrossFit is about. Just say the definition. Do you remember the CrossFit definition? Simple stuff like this. And then remember about monostructurals and those fancy things. Remember the way they were put together. It's not how the members think CrossFit should be run, because some coaches let their program be affected by the people they have in the classes. We should do more strength. We don't do enough strength, so they program more strength. And then they see in a while some people getting hurt because it's too full, the class. And it's strength and conditioning bias, but not just strength.
Yeah, and the thing is, I recognize myself when I see other boxers programming. I recognize myself that I was doing that, but 10 years ago, I was also doing that in the beginning days. I would destroy people each training on Saturday and Sunday. We would do 3 metcons in the barbesh and they would be destroyed.
Let me make an intervention here. This was 2012.
Yeah.
It was way back before we opened the gym.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, continue.
So yeah, I was doing it before because I was also with that mindset of harder is better. I just need to give them intensity, but it's not sustainable. And this realization comes with experience, education, and you come to a better understanding of how to apply CrossFit in a better way. And to your remark of some coaches let their programming be dictated by their members, we need to take in consideration, like we talked about in previous podcasts, the average member in our gym has no aspiration to go to the CrossFit Games. The average member doesn't need more weight on the bar, but they need to move better first. Get the basics down and then worry about adding weight to the bar after. The average member needs more practice time to get the basics down without the pressure of the clock, like in a Metcon. The Metcon is not where you practice. The Metcon is not where you dial in technique. The Metcon is where you get cues. It's before the Metcon where the coach can sit with you a couple of minutes, where we dial in technique on lower weights, no pressure of the clock, just a couple of reps, not till exhaustion. The average member is here for health purpose, so stop projecting your personal performance goals as a coach to everybody. It's not because you like to compete and you want to see how far you can push the human body that your community wants that. So separate and look at your community and really pinpoint what they're here for. So your programming should reflect what they're here for. And most people here, according to our goal reviews, are here for longevity, to move well, to maintain strength, to do some cardio, and to have fun, to have variation every day. That's what they're here for. Not to prepare to go to the Romanian throwdown. In the end, I think, speaking for ourselves, and I think for most gyms is the same, the guys that want to compete is 5% of your entire gym. Huh? So are we going to program for 5% of our entire gym because they say we should do more weightlifting? No.
Exactly. So how do we keep people motivated to reach their goals?
We have certain things that we do. First of all is accountability. So we keep an eye on people when they don't show up to the gym. We contact them. So we let them know that we notice that you're not training. Our model is a bit different from the commercial gym. In the commercial gym, some places they have up to over 700 people. for them it's perfectly fine that you make your membership in the beginning of the year, train January, February, and then I don't see you for the full year and everything is paid. This is not our goal. Our goal is for you to come in regularly, because if you do not show up on a regular basis, you won't have results, and then you're going to say that CrossFit doesn't work, and we know CrossFit works if you show up on a regular basis. So we keep our people accountable, so our coaches are in constant contact with the people from their class. So if they notice that Razvan hasn't been here in the last week and they know he's not in holiday, they will contact him and ask, what's up? Why haven't I seen you in training? Because you're a regular in my 5 o'clock class, but I haven't seen you. Are you injured? It's been busy at work, and we shall try to see if we can give them some advices how to still get a training in. Maybe on busy days they should come in the morning, get a training in. Maybe they should do a home workout, but they should do something to maintain a bit of fitness for the moment they can come back to the gym. We have a committed board where we celebrate people's consistency. So the people on the committed board are people that trained 15 times or more in that month. So that's on average 3 to 4 times a week. And to reward them for that, at random we pull one name from the board and we give them a 30-minute one-on-one session as a prize. And that can be very helpful because obviously in a group class the coach is queuing 14 people, but if there is a move like a clean, for example, that you are not that smooth with yet, then a 30-minute session where the coach 30 minutes is only busy with you can make a big difference. So then you can take those cues and take them with you in class and progress more. So I think a lot of people started enjoying and appreciating that 30-minute session price. They appreciate it because they said in certain cases they got like an eureka moment, like nobody explained it to me like that before. Now I understand how to use better the hip in the snatch, for example.
Yes, everybody has something to work on, and that moment, it's 30 minutes, you have all the attention of the coach and you can just work on it. Can be double unders. Can somebody make the click for you to just keep your elbows more tight to your body? That's it.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a coach that says the same thing in a different way, but it clicks all of a sudden. Yeah, usually the 30-minute sessions are for skill-based things, because I've also had people, when I ask them what they want to practice, and they tell me pull-ups. And then I ask them, can you do any strict pull-ups? No. Okay, so I cannot practice pull-ups with you, because it's the reason why you can do keeping pull-ups is not because there is a trick to it and you need the technique practice, you need to get stronger, and I won't fix that in 30 minutes. And another thing that we've been doing is the goal reviews. Since a year we've been doing goal reviews with people. We have like a 15 to 20 minute talk to see what is going well in their fitness journey so far, and also trying to pinpoint maybe a couple of things they struggle with. We try to give them some advices how to get closer to their goals. In some cases we try to figure out together with them what their actual goal is. In some cases that's what the talk goes about, because some people don't have a real goal. Sometimes it's as simple as I want to be consistent, so then we're gonna see a little bit what they're doing so far consistency wise. Are you getting in every week 3 times a week, yes or no? What shall we set as a goal in the next months to stick to 3 times a week as a goal? We check in with them also unofficially, because we see them day to day, ask them how it's going, but then in the next 3 to 6 months we book another official session of a goal review to see a little bit what we talked about the last time, how things are standing, if they managed, for example, like they said, to pay attention a little bit more to the food, and did they manage to apply the little changes that we suggested, or did they manage to stay consistent? Did they have 12 to 14 attendances each month like they thought they would have? And if they don't have, what were the problems? So those talks are more a bit to help people clear up things that are unclear, give them some advices, give them yeah, whatever they need gets brought up. Support, yeah, just general support in whatever subject training related they need. So far, so good, I would say. I heard a lot of positive stories after people had the goal review. And like I mentioned before, also started doing the month overview. So we give them on our Facebook group what's the focus of that month, so they know what to be expected for the next 4 to 5 weeks in the classes. Maybe it's more focus on the snatch, so you're going to have more variations of the snatch in the classes, more overhead squats, all things that will contribute to getting a better snatch. Maybe it will be a month where you just get more gymnastics than you get in other months. Handstand walks or variations, handstand push-ups, toes to bars, all those type of things. Also with gymnastics we understand more body weight, so squats and push-ups and stuff like that, strict pull-ups. So a gymnastic focus would be then more in that direction. And we also let them know that on certain days we're going to have test moments. That could be a max set of strict pull-ups, but that could be also a benchmark workout. And then when it's benchmark workouts, we give them a little bit of in advance on our group some what to expect, what's the workout, also how to attack the workout, a bit of a strategy, how to scale the workout, so they can think in advance a bit before coming in for that workout. How will they approach the workout for their particular case with the tips we gave them. And they can also check a little bit the history in advance to see, okay, it's Fran again. Well, how fast did I do Fran 6 months ago? And then to see a little bit what is the time that I'm gonna try to beat. And that goes into my next point, meaning tracking of results is also what keeps people coming in, because we highly encourage people to track their results, meaning writing down the results in Wodify for the weightlifting and the Metcon. Certain workouts, like I said, get repeated, and only if you track the results, you will know if you're doing better or worse, and we can draw some conclusions. If Fran pops up, 21:15, 9 thrusters and pull-ups. If in January I did it in 5 minutes 30, and in July I repeat it and I do it in 4:45, I do it 45 seconds faster, I could say that my fitness improved, at least for this workout. So you can see a clear black and white progress in your fitness. And seeing this type of progress keeps you motivated, because you can see something is working, I'm improving in something, and it gives you a feeling of accomplishment. Like in comparison to if I don't note it down and ask you, and how in the goal review, how has the last period been? I think I'm getting stronger. I think I'm getting better in the cardio Metcon pieces. But if you don't note it down and test it, you will not really know for sure.
Exactly. If you can measure it.
Measuring is knowing.
Cool. So who is this for? Online, whenever I see a video on Instagram, I see a jacked CrossFitter.
Yeah, male or female.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who is it for? I like the sentence, CrossFit can be done by anyone, but it's definitely not for everyone. Yeah, you see some huge guys and girls online. Usually the biggest ones are usually the CrossFit Games athletes or guys that are very close to it. I think it's important for everybody that listens that we need to separate the CrossFitter from the average gym with the CrossFitter that is training to get to the CrossFit Games. It's two different worlds, it's two different types of trainings. The CrossFitter that's trying to go to the CrossFit Games is a professional athlete, and he trains 3 to 4 times a day. Sounds a lot, but it's the reality. It's huge volume, they try to recover from it, and they try to do more and more and more and more. Eventually, every competitive CrossFitter breaks. It's normal, but they're training to see who's the fittest in the world. The average person is not training to see what the human potential is, maximum human potential. They're training to have fun. They're training to to stay active. So anybody can do CrossFit. We have in our gym from teenagers till a couple of 70-plus-year-olds, and they're all doing the same workouts. Of course, each of them get individual adjustments, the scaling, what we talked about before, and they get scaled on exercises, on weight, on reps, so the total volume of the workout depending on their fitness level. But in essence, they are doing the same workout. They're not doing anything different. It's just small tweaks left and right, so they would get the same benefit from that same workout. Why I said that CrossFit can be done by anyone, but it's not for everyone, is because CrossFit is as hard as you make it. You are in charge of the weights and you are in charge of the speed. But to get to some results, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. Walking through the cardio part at a speed that you can still talk, that you're still at conversational tempo, is not going to be enough intensity to get you to your goals, to get you fitter in general, because that's what a lot of people, when we ask them about their goals, is they're getting very broad and they say, I want to be fitter. Okay, to get more fitness, you're going to have to get uncomfortable. So the times where you sit after an exercise 3 minutes on your phone, it's not going to cut it. We have short workouts that will require a certain amount of getting uncomfortable. Doesn't mean be on the floor dead, but means to get a little bit out of your comfort zone. And then that line where comfort goes into uncomfortable will go higher as you get fitter. But you always need to get a little bit uncomfortable to force your body to change, to have results. And we've seen it by people that pass through our gym. Working hard is not for everybody. Some prefer to sit in the commercial gym, do 8 reps, take 3 minutes rest, do another 8 reps, do 3 minutes rest, and that's fine. But then you came to the wrong place. If that's your thing, you came to the wrong place. So anybody can do it, but you're going to have to work to a certain level. You're going to have to get uncomfortable to get any benefit out of this. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you didn't do a workout. It's just as simple as it is. And then the second part is why it's maybe not for everybody, and we talked about it in the beginning of the podcast. You're going to get coached. We have noticed that being coached is also not for everybody. But it's a thing that you need to know before you join. In CrossFit, you get coached. You get feedback on your movement. You get held accountable to a certain standard. If we squat under 90, I expect you to squat under 90. If we put the emphasis on it needs to look good before you make it heavy, that's what we do here. We need to move correctly before we add intensity. Intensity is coming, so you can make things harder, so more intense by adding more weight, or by moving faster, or maybe by doing a harder variation of a certain exercise. But we first need to have the basics down before we make any of these changes. So if your air squat doesn't look good, then we don't want to see you doing 50 kilogram back squats because your base is bad. So this is something that you need to know, that in order to do CrossFit well, we need to keep it to a certain standard, and you need to accept the feedback that there are things that you can improve on, and that's okay. We all have things to improve on, but some people, I've noticed, deal with it better than others. I have even had people in my class that every time I get close to them, they stop moving and they say, I can't do it when you're watching me. Sorry, but I saw from the other side of the room some faults in your movement. That's why I'm coming over here now to give you a cue, so to help you move better. So the only way to get your movement better is that a coach looks at you, analyzes it, and gives you some tips. So that's the only way to progress. That's why I also think no matter what you do, anybody can benefit from a coach. Because unless you're very good at analyzing yourself, it's very good that a guy that has this as his job, that went through 10 years of courses, looks at you and gives you a solution for what he knows out of experience is the problem. You can go also to that knowledge level, but then you're going to have to put in the 10 years. So that's why we're here as coaches. That's why you pay us. We put in the effort over time to give you in 1 minute what the problem is, what it took me 10 years to learn. So that's what you're here for. So if you don't want to, don't feel comfortable being coached, or don't think you need to be coached, or think you move perfectly, also this is not the place for you. So CrossFit can be done by anybody, but there are certain things that we tell you in advance. You're gonna need to work maybe harder than you are used to, and you're gonna need to be willing, you need to show some willingness to want to take the feedback and do something with it, so to be coached.
That's really cool. You know that saying, quote, I have a friend that told me that CrossFit is dangerous and the injury rate is pretty high. Can you help me shed some light on this one?
That's a funny one, huh? Because the first thing I usually respond to these type of questions is, where did you hear it? Was it one of those, they said? Yeah, but they said that CrossFit is. So what are you basing yourself off? Because the they said, I hate that. That's not an argument. Did you read like a clickbait headline and you didn't read the full article? So where is it really coming from? So let's start with that. Like, tell me where it really comes from. Or is it just some one sentence that you heard and now it became truth? Because that's the age we live in. Huh? Somebody said something and now it's a fact. But you're too lazy to do your research.
Yes. Everybody says, you know.
Yeah. Everybody says that. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's the age we live in. So this is how myths are born. Huh? Everybody said, and if enough days say it, apparently it's truth. CrossFit is a relatively new sport. We talked about it. It's been around since around 2000. So let's say it's about 25 years old and got popular in the last 15. Also, here, those studies of CrossFit is prone to injury. So I also read a couple of studies, and in most of them, the conclusion is that CrossFit is not necessarily more prone to injury than any of the other popular sports. To give you some data and some examples. So in most of the studies that I saw, it comes down to, in average, that per 1,000 hours trained, CrossFit has 3.1 injuries. To put that a bit in comparison to other sports, so 3.1 for CrossFit. Olympic weightlifting, 3.3. Gymnastics, 3.1. Rugby, 3. American football, 140. Ice hockey, 80. Soccer, football, 4.22. And then, knowing this, so this is all quite similar, or in certain cases a little bit higher, then a good question to a person that brings this up would be, and I'll ask you, what do you think about running? Is running dangerous? Maybe with your background of sports, maybe you will give a different answer than the person that brought it up, like CrossFit is dangerous. But put yourself in the mindset of the person that would say, what would the average person say if I would ask him, is running dangerous?
I know some people that will say, I think that if you run too much or if you run too fast, your heart might give in. Or I heard running is too hard on your joints, on your knees.
Yeah.
But most of them, they will say no.
Because it's like the go-to for people that want to lose weight. Yeah. They directly go to running, right?
Yeah, this is the cheapest sport you can do when the doctor tells you should move. Walking and running.
So running, so CrossFit has 3.1 injuries per 1,000 hours trained. Running has between 2.5 and 12 injuries per 1,000 hours done, per 1,000 hours of running. So in essence, number-wise, running is the same or more dangerous than CrossFit when you just look at the amount of injuries they have over 1,000 hours. But you would never say that running is dangerous like you say CrossFit is dangerous, because CrossFit has weights, right? And running has no weights. So why the double standard? The data shows that running over 1,000 training hours gives more injuries than CrossFit. In my opinion, any sport can lead to pains or injury, any sport. Because you're moving your body and things can happen. It's not the sport that specifically causes the injury. Of course, American football, hitting each other full on with some sports, contact sports fall a bit out of this, but anything that's not a contact sport, it's not necessarily the sport, but it's how you do the sport that increases or decreases your chance to get injured. But no sport is injury-free. Let's get that clear. Somehow people think that if you get injured, it's because you did something wrong. We'll talk about a bit of what things influence injury, definitely. But there are also cases, and we both had them, there you think you did everything right and still I have a pain or something hurt the day after, although nothing happened necessarily that day, but the day after I'm walking in my house, everything's fine when I'm out of bed and I reach for something and I tweak something in my back. I mean, should that then mean that I will never reach for something from the floor anymore? I will never pick up my backpack anymore? Because when I picked up my backpack, something hurt in my back. It has no logic to it. So if I'm coming to the doctor, and most doctors, they go into the style of, okay, what's hurting? My back is hurting. Okay, what is it that you do from a day-to-day basis? I lift weights. The stupid doctor will just say, stop lifting weights. You know what's a better sport? Swimming and cycling. That's better. It's easier on the joints and it's going to be better for you. What if you came into the doctor and the answer to his question is, I hurt myself doing running, and he tells you you should stop running, but this is your passion for the last 10 years running. This is how you clear your mind. This is how you enjoy being in the outdoors and moving your body. This is the preferred way of staying active. How can you let a doctor decide that you should stop running because he has no back knowledge of rehabbing yourself out of pains? He probably doesn't even do sports himself, but he tells you that you should give up on that. Just keep in mind, like I said before, any sport can get yourself hurt. Are you going to switch sports every time you have a little pain? Any sport, in my opinion, is good. I just want people to do sports. It doesn't need to be CrossFit. The moment you found the sport that you enjoy and that keeps you active on a regular basis, big thumbs up from me. Everybody has their own preferences in what that might be. I have my own view on what's best for longevity, which means I want to maintain muscle mass and I want to do cardio. So I want to maintain my engine, my heart and my lungs, and I want to maintain muscle mass so I can still get up out of the couch when I'm 80. I don't think running will do that for me. That's just part of the equation. But nobody should talk yourself. You shouldn't talk yourself out of it, and a doctor shouldn't talk yourself out of any sport that you do. When you have an injury, you should analyze maybe what could have been the reasons, and you should rehab yourself and get back into your sport. So we can have a little bit a look in what could be any of the reasons why. The one big reason sometimes is bad luck. Shit happens. I mean, sometimes you can do everything right and you can still get injured. But getting injured doesn't mean you did something wrong on the spot. It can be an accumulation of things. Maybe you didn't warm up well. Maybe you didn't sleep well and you still came into training. Maybe it was just a loss of focus. You're doing a back squat or a deadlift and all of a sudden you start thinking that you still need to pick up the kit later during your lift. A loss of focus, technique goes down the drain and up you tweak something. Maybe you're overdoing it, aka the ego lifting. The last rep looked bad, but you still decided to put more weight on the bar. You had a little pain before you came into the gym. You decided not to tell the coach about it because I'll be fine. And now, 5 sets into the deadlift, my back hurts. Yeah, but the goal is, if you come in with a pain, tell us about it, and we're going to assess out of our experience if what we have on the schedule today is a good idea. If not, we give you another exercise or we adjust something, because what you don't want is the little pain to become a big pain. So you push through things, you made it worse, or maybe you're attempting things your body is not ready for. That can also be, I'm a bit immobile going overhead, I'm a bit stiff. So if I'm not in an ideal position with an empty bar going overhead, then it's not going to be a good idea to test out a heavy set of 3, because I don't have the mobility to really be in a good, comfortable position overhead, and you might end up tweaking a muscle in your scapula or in your lower back because you're overarching, because the heavy weight forces you to overarch. Maybe with lighter weight you can still keep your rib cage down, keep your spine neutral, brace, and we will not have the back pain. If together with the coach, if you know you struggle overhead and you feel tight, talk to him or her about it. There are other ways than going heavy to make it harder. On that point, I might say, instead of doing 50 kilogram strict presses for 3 reps, maybe I'm gonna ask you to do 30 kilograms, but you're gonna hold 3 seconds at the top and you're gonna give me a 3 seconds negative. But with 30 kilos, I assure you, if I'm gonna make you do tempo work, the 30 kilos is gonna feel like the 50 kilos, but with the difference that you're not overloading your body, and maybe a less chance of that injury, but communication will be key. So there can be reasons why you injure yourself, like the nutrition isn't good, I don't take care of my recovery, so I never get any deep tissue massages, I'm training 5 days a week, but I'm only sleeping 5 hours. It's just a matter of time things break. That's not only in CrossFit, that's in any sport. So a little bit of self-assessment and being a bit critical on yourself will go a long way. So I've named a lot of things that can go wrong. So look a little bit where your strengths and weaknesses are in these things, but also just accept that sometimes it's just bad luck. You can also do everything right and still tweak it. All the sports I named have at least 3 injuries per 1,000 hours. There is no sport that has 0 injuries. So stop thinking that you're made out of glass. You hurt yourself, it's just a pain. You will rehab it, you will come back, you will learn lessons from what you did wrong, and you will do it better next time. But if the solution is just with every pain I stop, then eventually you're going to run out of sports. And the goal is to keep moving, right? So that's why with me saying keep moving is the goal. So I need to make decisions day to day in training that keeps me coming back. So we need to always have risk versus reward. Is the extra 10 kilos to make a PR or 5 kilos to make a PR with doubtable form worth it? Or am I gonna take the risk of tweaking something to feed my ego and do 80 kilos on the snatch instead of 75? And if I tweak myself, I will not come back tomorrow and maybe the day after. And then the regularity of that week of constant training is gone. So we need to make decisions that say, is it worth it, yes or no? I want to come back tomorrow. Is there a chance that I will force myself on this, yes or no? If the answer is yes, I say don't do it. Remember, you're not going to the CrossFit Games. You're here for longevity. You said it out loud. Look in the mirror and say it out loud again. Now look at your actions in the gym and say, am I taking the decisions according to my goal, which was come to the gym regularly, not tweak myself, not stay as injury-free as I can? In some cases, I would say you're lying to yourself, because what you say and what you do are 2 different things. So you are in big control of how far you go over your limit. The farther you go over your limit, the more chances you have to tweak something. So often just leave the ego at the door. Nobody cares if you do 80 kilos or 90 kilos. Only you care. Like you said it in the beginning. You think everybody's looking at you. Nobody's looking at you. Not all eyes are on you. They didn't notice what you're doing.
You're not so important.
No. Life is not nobody's that important. Life is not that serious. It's just training. We're here to have fun, to stay safe, and to come back tomorrow. Training is fun. I want to come back. I want to come back every second day or every day or 3 or 4 times a week. But I want to come back. And if I do crazy shit that I'm not ready for, I won't be coming back. And every time, the older we get, every time we have a little injury and we get out of the routine of training, our fitness declines. So it's important to have a regularity. Every couple of days I should do something physical. It can be in the gym or out the gym, but take the decisions that keep you healthy enough to do those things. And 3 times out of 1,000 hours that it happens, communicate, work around it, you will heal. Every injury that we had so far, it healed. It's fine.
Most cases, yes.
I'm still here. My shoulder has hurt on times, my wrist has hurt on times, my elbow has hurt on times, sometimes my knees has been sensitive. But with a bit of smart training in the weeks following, it was fine. even if that meant that certain days I couldn't do the Metcon with the exercises on the board. But that's not what I'm here for. If you have that mindset of I need to do it exactly as written on the board, you're again competing with somebody. You said that you're here to move and have fun. Just train. If it's thrusters and your wrist hurts and you're doing back squats, it's fine. You're having training. This is the most important. You're here. You're maintaining your fitness, you're improving your fitness. It's not declining because you didn't do a thruster and you did the back squat. See it as a challenge. That day I'm going to load my legs a bit heavier, and that's going to be the challenge instead of doing 40 kilogram thrusters, which I cannot do because my wrist hurts. It's fine.
All right, man. I really enjoyed the depth you went in, and I really appreciate the data you have there. So thank you for sharing knowledge today. In closing, I want to invite anyone who is listening to a session to see for themselves what we are talking about and what we are doing here. The only thing you need to do is to write me a message via any social media you can get me. I will get you instant access to the gym in one of our classes. For the rest of the community and the listeners who is already a member, I have one favor to ask from you. If you enjoyed today's episode, share this with a person that you know would benefit from hearing this. That's it for today. If you have any questions, please write us on our email info@smartmovecrossfit.ro or shoot us an email on Instagram @smartmovecrossfit. If you want to find out more about the two of us, you can find our details into the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.